Hey, Talisha.
Hello.
Good evening, ladies.
Hello.
Evening, Dr. Keisha.
Percy is here.
Okay, I'll let him in. Just give me a second.
Where's my background?
Okay. And Percy. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. How is everyone doing tonight? Hello, Percy.
All right. Hello. How are you?
Good, thank you.
All right.
We're going to give people another couple of minutes to come in, and then we'll get started.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Great. And you?
That's good to hear.
Doing well. Doing well.
Let's ask in the chat for the people that are here, what brought you here tonight? So I added another word to the topic. I said actionable tips to become a successful blockchain consultant. I added the word paid in. So we'll see how that goes. Conversation. So Jeff is saying it's hump day, so he's doing great.
Great on the hump.
So let me ask this. In 2021, so Cindy's saying paid works, yes. So I said, okay, well, let's push the boundary a little bit. So in 2021, how much would you want to be paid as a blockchain consultant? Put that in the chat for me. And all of my panelists, put that in the chat as well. Let's get some real numbers.
Ooh. Let's see.
And please don't say $1 gazillion because the industry is not that large. Okay? Work with the girl here. Work with the girl.
Are you going annually? I guess it doesn't matter. Whatever people say.
Yeah, let's do annual.
Okay.
Let's do annual. In 20
Percy level money.
All right. See, I heard the replay from last week, so I'm thinking I want Percy level money too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
We agree with each
We
other.
can all do better than that. We can all do better than that.
I was saying 180,000, 100,000, 100,000 as a blockchain consultant. Ooh.
Okay.
Hello, Richard.
Me.
Richard, tell us how much money you want to make in 2021 as a blockchain consultant.
Oh, I thought somebody said all the money. I said hello all.
Okay. No, he said hello all.
Yeah, all.
I'm like, okay.
That's the whole problem right there. You can have all because we have to have some. So
Yes.
right there, we have a problem.
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, okay, Richard, you're bringing all the bags.
And to everyone who answered, y'all are looking to do this as like consultants within like your own business, or are some people looking to get hired as, you know, like Percy is within a company? Because that's different as well.
Right.
So to the people that answered,
6 figures. I guess we're
six
like
figures, so 100,000 seems to be the personal business, own consulting business, or
Yeah.
subcontract. Okay, so people
Right.
want to
Oh,
do
you
this
doing
as a separate business.
Okay.
All righty then. Well, it's 7:33 here, so I'm in Cali, so I need about 250. You look.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some interesting comments here. So we're going to veer off with that type of comment as well, because I have some thoughts to say. And I will say that tonight is very low key. I'm going to present some thoughts that I have. However, based on a lot of your responses, I'm going to have some extra thoughts as well. I'm sure Percy's going to have some thoughts. And Percy, first of all, is one of our newest co-hosts here. So he's going to be here every week. So we're super excited about that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I'm saying everybody who's out there tonight, if you want to be up here as well, you can be. Y'all know how we are. In fact, Dr. Keisha's begging.
Been working. I know. I've been calling on folks. Come on. You all know what to
Begging you
do.
too. So we have some excellent BBC members who are coming over the next couple of months, but
Very true.
you need to be here as well. Don't think what you don't know is unimportant, especially if you're talking about making $100,000, 180. Y'all really need to be up here for
Laurie is talking
practice.
about 500K annually in the chat. I'm like, I need
Yeah.
to, I need
500. Let me know.
these people. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Maybe I need to step up or something. Maybe I'm just old, or maybe I don't understand the value of money.
And I was thinking lower than that.
And pay off my student loan. That's all I got planned.
You know what? I'll be rich behind that.
Step it up.
Well, let me tell you, with that kind of money, I can't pay off my student loan and my house as well. So, you know,
I'm just trying to send somebody to school
That's
and pay
it.
mine off. That's all I'm trying to do, y'all. That's help me.
That's it.
Help contribute to me. Give me some bag so I can do that. That's all.
So I have a third question for everybody to put in a response in the chat. Based on the amount that you said on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being no work, 0 being no work, 10 being you're willing to work your butt off, how committed are you to that number? 1 to 10, let's say. Or no, I said 0. 0 to 10.
10 being the
See now see we're not getting all 10s here.
I'm working hard. I'd rather work hard to make that for me.
Probably in the beginning though. Like you're ready to. You don't want to be in year 7 or 8 still hustling
Grinding
like
it
a
out.
10. You know. You
Right.
wanna,
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a couple of announcements, and then we're going to dive into the topic of the evening. One announcement is I was texting back with Tawana back and forth today. We had talked about having a BBC conference in February. Based on everything that's happening, we're canceling that. I'm going to contact Naja and let her know that as well. It's just, I don't want to put you at risk. I don't want to put me at risk. You all have families. We don't even know if the kids are going back to school. I was talking to a teacher about that yesterday. So we had said that before, but we're going to table that until we get really, really clear of this thing. We may, however, do a virtual conference or something like that. And we did that, I think, last year. So let me know in the comments if we put something together that's like a half a day. We're not going to do anything extensive, but like a half a day. Would you all come? Would you all participate? You know, et cetera. Because we don't want to put something together if people aren't going to come and participate. But we will if not only come and participate, but maybe reach out to a couple of speakers that you think would be good and ask them if they would be speakers. We would need people to help us do some of that type of lifting for us. So I see people saying that you're in for a half a day. Good. So we'll come up with something. We'll talk with all of you and do a survey about what you need to learn to reach that 100,000, that 250,000 that Richard said he needs to reach. What do you need to learn? Who do you need access to in order to reach those numbers? So we'll work on that. Okay. The second thing is we are almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I hadn't really been pushing the YouTube subscriber thing a lot lately, but when I saw our numbers, I'm like, oh my goodness, we could get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube yet, if you go onto YouTube and put in Black Blockchain Consultants, we're there. Please subscribe to our YouTube. Make me very happy so that we can get to 1,000 subscribers. Because once you get to 1,000 subscribers, it unlocks the community tab and I'm able to post certain things and all of that. So let's make that happen. Does anybody else, Dr. Keisha, look like you had an announcement or something like that? You were about to say something?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No.
Okay, all righty then.
Here.
So I wrote, y'all know how I am. I wrote the headline before I put the actionable steps together. So when I started putting the steps together, I actually ended up with 7. And based on your responses, I'm going to add an 8th one in too. So grab your pens, grab your paper. Tonight is very interactive as well. If there's an actionable step that you think should be added in, let's talk about that tonight as well. But we want to get you to where you want to be in 2021. So the first step that I had is you got to decide that you're going to be 100% committed. So everybody who was below a 10, or you put a 10 and you really didn't mean it, especially within blockchain. Blockchain is so new. There's so many moving parts. Things are changing on a daily basis. You really got to be a 10 to get, especially the types of numbers that you all are saying that you want. You got to be a 10, okay? So either you're going to have to move those 8s up to a 10, or, you know, we're just going to have to be very honest with each other, right? Now, if you're not at a 10, but let's say someone within BBC needs your help, that could be a way for you to make some money as a blockchain consultant. You probably won't make 250 like that, let's be honest. But somebody could say, hey, you know what? Like that person who is a 10, maybe you grab onto them and say, look, if you get something, I'll sub under you, right? And that could be a way for you to get some money as a blockchain consultant. But if you're not going to be a 10, then, you know, y'all know me, I'm honest, right? If you're not going to be a 10, you're probably not going to make the money you're looking for. Number 2, I haven't said this in a long time, but pick a
Major.
Everybody put it in the chat. Pick a
major.
Pick a major. Put it in the chat. Pick a major.
Pick something. Pick anything.
And I know we have some new people here. So what does pick a major mean? It's very simple. If you went to college, during freshman and sophomore year of college, you study general studies. You basically take the basics. By junior year, you're expected to pick a major, and then you're expected to take all of the classes to learn in depth about that area of study. I believe that in order for you to hit the numbers that you all are looking for, you got to pick a major. So it could be smart contracts. It could be tokenization. It could be supply chain. It could be security. It could be blockchain within a certain industry. My suggestion is, as much as possible, try to pick something that correlates a little bit with something you've studied before. So for example, with Dr. Keisha, it wouldn't make sense for Dr. Keisha to say, I'm going to do smart contracts for manufacturing companies, because she's brand new to smart contracts and she's brand new to manufacturing companies.
Right.
But if she said, I'm going to do smart contracts around education, then that makes more sense. So my suggestion is pick a major, but have the major be something that you kind of already, know.
Right.
Partial, right? Number 3 is something that I just added based on the conversations that were in the chat, and that's you got to do the math as well. Do the math. So $100,000, how much are you making per hour? How many billable hours do you really think you're going to have? And being honest with yourself, right? Or if it's going to be per contract, you know, can you get 10 contracts for $10,000 each if you wanted $100,000? Doing the math, that comes after picking a major, because you kind of got to know.
Get familiar with the way you talk. I need your permission to help.
Yeah, you kind of have to know, like, roughly what your business model is going to be. And I think that that's predicated on your major, what your business model is going to be and how you're going to do the math and how is all of this going to work. So that's a one-on-one thing with you trying to figure that out. Number 4 is, and we've said this before a couple of months ago, is updating your LinkedIn page. Some of you are new here. So a few months ago, we had a woman named Michelle Hayward come in and talk about how we can update our LinkedIn pages to talk about our blockchain experiences. My suggestion is for you to go back on YouTube. That's probably one of the best ways to do it, and find the Michelle Hayward video. We also have within the Center for Blockchain Studies, shout out to blockchainstudies.tech, we have an extensive course on LinkedIn and how you can set up your blockchain as your LinkedIn page to talk about blockchain. Let's say you have a corporate job and you don't want commingled. You don't want your boss and all of those people knowing what you're doing with the blockchain. If your name is John Smith and your middle initial is A, start a second LinkedIn page as John A. Smith and make that your blockchain page. Okay, that's how you get out of that. But if you can, just keep your original page and just add blockchain to it if you're able to do that. And you may be surprised with your corporation. They may say, oh, wow, we have someone within the company that knows blockchain. So, I mean, think strategically, both
I'll
ways.
add to this, and I want to congratulate Mr. Percy on getting his certificate for completing the blockchain course. He just
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
On LinkedIn because he was able to actually showcase that. And that is, I'm going to kind of skirt that aspect. I'm like, use everything that you have, show the skill assessment that you have, because again, skill acquisition is much more important. And if they know that you're proactively seeking that, they may look at you not only from the sense of what you're doing, but that you're doing that proactively outside. So they may be like, oh, we need to hustle to keep you because you're looking for other opportunities elsewhere. So to optimize your LinkedIn page, I definitely suggest our course because it has a lot of in-depth information. And again, it's just conversational as well. You don't have to show expertise. It's just that this is something that you know that you can converse about, that you can, help people through, because amazingly, there's a lot of people who still don't know what it is, and just being able to have the conversation with you is very valuable. And that is a part of consulting, is telling people what they don't know.
Yes.
Right.
So number 5, this is my number 5. Write a list of 25 people that you want to meet within the blockchain space. Now, I have a couple of caveats with this. Number 1 is, I'm not talking about you want to meet Vitalik Buterin, who is the co-founder of Ethereum, right? He's like so far away from who you could reach out and touch. Mm-hmm. However, in LinkedIn, within blockchain, most people are touchable and reachable. That's how I get a lot of people who I don't know and we don't know to come to BBC to speak, right? I reach out to them and, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I said, get your LinkedIn page together first, so that when the people check you out, they can see that you are a Black blockchain consultant, you're a certified blockchain professional, et cetera, et cetera. But write a list, try to do 25 people who are a couple of steps above where you are today, who are either working on blockchain projects, or they are blockchain influencers or thought leaders, et cetera, and be strategic with this list. It will take you a couple of weeks to like go through LinkedIn 3 or 4 times to find the right people. But be strategic with this list. Again, you said you were a 10 on the committed scale. This is part of being a 10, right? Is to get in LinkedIn, look through, for example, hashtag blockchain, and see who's writing about blockchain, who's writing posts, you know, et cetera. Think, oh, wow, that is an interesting person. I'd like to connect with that person, right? This is a very strategic list that you're putting together.
There's also a list, I'm gonna caveat that as well. There's a list of 100 top Black people in blockchain and cryptocurrency that is out there. Deidre McIntyre has put together this wonderful list. She keeps rolling it. We happen to be on it as well, but it's just one of those things that she keeps updated. And there's 100+ individuals on that list in different spaces that even though it says blockchain and cryptocurrency, there are people who are writing books. So Isaiah's on there. There's individuals who have projects there. So you get to see the gamut within our own community. And they're, like I said, on that list, you could just click on the link and pull up their information and get to them as easily as that. And you can just say, I found you on this list. And they're very much more accessible to you.
They are very accessible.
I mean, just you could say, hey, I saw you on this program, or I saw you on LinkedIn. They're like, hey, sure, let me talk to you, or come over. They'll invite you wherever they need they are. But I think that's also somewhere you can begin very quickly because that list is already put together and aggregated for you. Just check the list out, and I'll put it also in our community once it is. You can't find it.
And Jeff, no, Satoshi Nakamoto is not on your top.
You may have met. I'm going to say it like that. I'm being very. You may have met Satoshi.
That's right.
So again, for all of my people who are number 10 in terms of commitment, so this is my 6th item. Invite these individuals to a 10-minute discussion with you. The discussion can be on Zoom. It could be on freeconferencecall.com. If you do freeconferencecall.com, there is a video section of it now. It could be on Skype. It could be a phone call, whatever it is that makes sense for you. But invite these individuals to a 10-minute call with you. Most people, 10 minutes is not so, you know, like, if they think you're going to have to talk to you for an hour, they're going to be like, I got to fit this in my day and that in my day. But like, no, I'm just, here's how I would word it. I am a certified blockchain professional, and I'm looking to network with 25 great individuals in the space, and you're one of the people on my list. Is it possible for us to have a 10-minute conversation? Because I want to know more about you and your project. And, let's just see where it goes from there. Based on the list that Talisha's talking about, if I believe that the person that gets that, if they see it, 90% of those people will say yes. Right? Because that's the type of community that we're in. Also with blockchain right now, even with white people and Asian people, they just want to meet more people in blockchain. It ain't that difficult, but you have to be committed to doing it, right? Okay.
Let me add to that too, because speaking of Black people in blockchain, we're kind of hot right now, just in general, let's ride this out, and here's the other thing too, when you optimize your LinkedIn profile, you put yourself in position for the algorithms to pull for you. So you end up being a part of that pool, and
Percy and I met on LinkedIn. So I'll let Percy tell you how he did it.
That's it's funny you're making this point, Cherie, because I was as I started to get interested in blockchain, I was just like, I wonder if there are any Black blockchain consultants. That was my first thought. And then so I did a LinkedIn search, and then Talisha's name came up, and then I was like, well, let me also look on Facebook, and literally Black blockchain consultants came up. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a sign. And then I saw Talisha's name again in the group. So I joined the group, and about a week was passing by, and I wasn't reaching out to anyone. And I'm like, well, I see Talisha keeps posting things. Maybe, I don't even know if she's going to respond, but let me just send a message. 5 minutes later, you know, Talisha sends me a message like, hey, welcome to the group. I'd be happy to talk, you know, and it was so easy. And, you know, we know Talisha is always looking to help people. And so she gave me more than 10 minutes. I think we ended up talking for like 40 minutes or something like that. And so she told me about the inner circle, and you know, here I am on this forum
And
with
now you
all of you
live in living
experts.
color and
You
on,
know,
on the screen.
unbelievable. So yeah,
Yes. And,
just a
you
matter of reaching
know,
out.
you know, this happens all the time. It's not just Talisha. It's like anybody. Again, if people see the message, so sometimes people just don't see the message, and I give, you know, leeway for that, right? But if people see the message, there's a whole section of Black Tech Twitter that I'm not even a part of, that Talisha is, where there's probably more people over there as well that are congregating, etc. So, you know, my number 7, okay, is as you are having that 10-minute conversation, which you want to reserve at least 30 minutes on your calendar. I'm just warning you now, because some people will talk and talk and you want to be able to really engage them, right? So as you're having that conversation, you want to listen out for potential opportunities. And don't be shy about saying, hey, what's the one thing that you're looking for within your project that's stifling you right now? Sometimes you may be able to help the person. Sometimes you may not be. It may not be something that you have a skill at, but you say, you know what? I'm speaking, as you know, I've given myself this challenge to talk to, 25 people on this list. And if I find someone on this list who can help you, would you mind if I put the 2 of you together? You know how many people would say no to that? Nobody. Like, yeah, please, if you could find someone who can help me do this and this, please put me together. Well, now that's made you much more valuable in their eyes. You will also, as you start talking to people, you'll say, you know what? I spoke with Susan 2 weeks ago, and she's doing this type of project, and I think it could parallel with what you're doing. Would you mind if I put the 2 of you together? You never know what could come out of it. Oh yeah, absolutely. That sounds great, right? So now all of a sudden you are a lot more trusted in the network. The chances of you getting something from this, if you speak to enough people, I'm telling you now, 100%. If you're talking to the right people, you have to talk to people who have projects, and some of the people who have projects will not have money. I'm warning you right now. But if you talk to enough people, you will find somebody with projects and money, or somebody who says, such and such a company is hiring. I can get you an interview with the hiring manager, or something will come up. You talk to 100 people. If you talk to 100 people and you do this exercise honestly, and you come back to me and say, Cherie, what you said absolutely didn't work, I will eat literal crow. But I know it will work. I know it will work. So I got 2 more things here. Number 8. Whenever you speak to somebody, add them to an email list. I call it a VIP email list. These are the people you've already spoken with. And I got this from Dawn Dixon. I knew it before, but she actually put it in a way that I think is a lot more actionable. You add those people to a VIP email list. And one of the tools that you can use is a tool called GMASS, GMASS. And I'll explain to you in a second why. Because of number 9. Number 9 is every month or every quarter, you send those people an email letting them know either a project you're working on or a cool person you've spoken to in a project that they're working on. And then you ask them, how are things going with their project? So here's how GMASS works, for example. It's connected to a Google Sheet, right? So you put all of your people in a Google Sheet, their name, like first name, and their email address into a Google Sheet. Within GMass, it'll turn the name like into their name for their specific email. And GMass is super easy to use. You can go to YouTube and see the instructions. And then you can say, you know, Charlie, over the last 2 months, I've been working on this great project. This is what I've learned. This is what I've been doing, etc. How is your project coming along? Question mark. Like one little paragraph about what you're doing and how is their project coming along? Or, you know, how is what you're working on coming along? You'll get responses back. And some of the responses will be what? Well, that's a cool project that you're working on. You know what? I need help with XYZ. Or you know what? I forward your name to this person because I was just networking with this person and they said they need that. And lo and behold, your email came up. So those are my 9 steps. Do I need to repeat them, or did everybody have their pen and paper together?
Recap. Go. Just do a recap.
Good. Okay, I'm going to do a recap. Number 1 is decide that you are 100% committed. You got to be a 10 with regards to doing this. Number 2, pick a major. Number 3, do the math. Number 4, update your LinkedIn page. 5, write your list of 25 people you want to meet. 6, invite those people to a 10-minute one-to-one. 7, tell them what projects you're working on or wish to work on and ask them what they're working on during that one-to-one. 8, add those individuals to a VIP email list. And 9, email that list every month, letting them know either a blockchain project you're working on or an interesting conversation that you had and a need of someone in your network. And then ask them again, how is your project coming along? That I know the title was initially 5 actionable steps. It's 9, but hey, you know, we don't know how to count over here in this household. So
Give value.
Also a great way to do this, I do this all the time, is again, I curate content, which you guys already know. If I find interesting articles, I pass those along to the individuals sometimes. And I put that in an email. Hey, I came across this great article, maybe pull a few things out of them that may interest you. This may, you know, if you want to have a further conversation, we can, or I'll send them to another place, just giving them some resource information kind of imbues goodwill. Like, hey, I'm just giving you a hey, give you a little article.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah, that's good advice.
oh, she's freezing.
That is very valuable.
Okay, Percy, why don't you go? I think Talicia's frozen.
Yeah. So there's one almost. I'm pointing at looking at your point number 2.
Okay.
Pick a major.
Yes.
And I really like that, and I would like to maybe add something onto that specific point. And maybe this is piggybacking on a little bit of what I said last week, which is as a consultant, you're really a problem solver. Right. And so I think if you have a major, and let's just say I'm a certified blockchain consultant in supply chain, I think that certainly is going to get you far. However, I think if you go to a company and you say, I'm a certified blockchain consultant, and I demonstrate to companies how they can save money leveraging blockchain, and I specialize in supply chain. If your narrative is linked to the outcome that they care about, many of them they're always going to be typically these 3 outcomes: their risk mitigation, their cost reduction, or their increase in revenue. And if you could, and it not only helps the customer, but it helps you, because then if you say, okay, my passion is helping companies save money, I'm going to specialize in supply chain. That really helps you as you're working on project to project to project. You really have a clear success metric, right? Did we actually help with this particular project? Did we actually help reduce their costs from, 10 million to 6 million, right? And you get better and better and better at that. So you're not only a specialist in supply chain, but you're a specialist at helping customers reduce costs, which every customer is going to want, right?
And
so,
those are your testimonials as well. So,
right.
so a lot of these corporate clients will ask, like, who have you worked with? And really, they're looking for that. I worked with Acme Corp, and we took them from $10 million to $6 million on this specific budget line item.
Right.
And if you've got 2 or 3 of those, it's infinitely easier to sell the others.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Dr. Keisha?
Oh, I like your idea of the follow-up. You know, I think that's where a lot of people fail, to include myself, is following up. You know, that's where the connection is. You giving yourself a 10, going out there to get the people, but then you got to cultivate that relationship. So that part, I think, is a huge point. And then what's so awesome too, as you mentioned, you got tools there that help facilitate that process. So, and then I love your idea too, Talisha, when you were saying that you can just be a resource. I know I can do that part, you know, personally, you know, how we're always talking about, you know, we feel like we don't know. A lot of times we don't have to necessarily know. We certainly know where to find it though. And I know I can do that. I'm very confident I can do that. So I really like that idea in terms of creating value, you know, about yourself by even just leveraging information. Because the truth of the matter is, as much as we talk amongst ourselves, there's so many people who really still don't know. I always still get so surprised, but I have to realize that's because I'm in a bit of a bubble with you guys all the time. And so people really don't know. And you actually really do become the person who now, you know, is the person who's in the know. You know, there's always that rank. We're looking up to those 25 we went to, but somebody's looking up to you now, you know. So it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, that's a great point.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the conversation Dr. Keisha and I had, which is the reason that I presented last week, because I think all you probably have been exposed to Dr. Keisha. She's going to be like, oh yeah, you can do it. You can do it. And I was like, I don't know anything about blockchain. And so she was like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. And so,
especially with your background, like, what, are you kidding?
So, you know, I think sometimes we are so busy, especially getting into a new space. We're so busy feeling like, well, we're new, we don't really know anything, but so much of our experience that we bring to the table can be highly leverageable in this space. And it's reflected my mentality of that conversation, Dr. Keisha, kind of how I'm always like, well, I don't really know, and so on. It's even, quite frankly, reflected in my LinkedIn. I barely update my LinkedIn. I'm always kind of downplaying what I've done, what I've accomplished, and I don't even update it at all. And so today was actually after I finished my blockchain certification. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to post this out there. Talisha mentioned that earlier. And, you know, it felt good to post that. I'm like, you know, over these next months, I'm really going to try to do these steps that you were talking about, Cherie, and, you know, and actually update it and reach out to people, because that's something I would say I've been really, really poor at.
Yeah, and you know, and like Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. So, so if you're a 10, you're gonna be a 10. And sometimes, and Richard, I do see your question, and I see yours too, Cindy. Sometimes reaching out to people you haven't spoken to in a long time, let's say, for example, that's in supply chain, right? Saying, hey, you know, just following up with you. I'm committed to reconnecting with 25 people that I haven't spoken with in a while. Could we hop on the phone? Sometimes that's a lot less of a barrier than reaching out to someone totally new. So sometime as well, if you feel like you really don't know enough, and sometimes people really do, reaching out to people who you could potentially subcontract under. Now, you have to prove to the people during the 10-minute conversation that you know the basic buzzwords. But you can say to those individuals, look, I'm looking to break into blockchain. if you come across any contract that you take and you need a subcontractor that can do X, for example, Cindy is talking about her writing experience. If you need a subcontractor that knows how to do technical writing, I'm your person. That could be a very strategic way of you going about this list as well. So, Talisha, did you have anything else before we answer some of these questions? Because
No,
these are some great questions in here.
Yeah, let's jump into the questions.
Okay, Richard is asking, what if you want to double major? Would it make sense to double major in smart contracts and tokenization? I have a strong opinion about that. I will ask Talisha first because maybe she may say something different than what I'm thinking.
I would say you got to go with your own strength. So I think that's where we do the skill assessment first of where you are and what you can do right now, not what you can do in the future. So then you can look at those things and say, okay, and I think this goes back to point one, how dedicated are you to get up to speed with those parts? Because if you want to do both parts, you got to commit that 10 and 10 to each of those things to get really ramped up and scale. They said, I've been in this kind of space for 4 years. And again, very highly technical. Like I've been on that tech side for much more of the time. Like this is what I consider my socialization, but I spent a large time like digging into code, seeing how these things work, where the interoperability, all the stuff that most people will not do. But that became my calling card because I could speak to what the tech could do from that perspective. So if you do want to pick things that go together, you have to assess, can you really determine that all that time that goes into them and the congruency that where you want to fit into those. So if you want to do smart contracts, yeah, tokenization can help you with that, but what are the ultimate goals in each of them? And if they don't parallel, truly they need to intersect. If they parallel each other, I would not suggest that. I would say go into something that you feel very comfortable in and go all in. Don't I would say, don't be a jack of all trades, be a true master in something, because that'll take you further, and then you'll get some skill acquisition along the way. But that one thing needs to be tight, and then it's almost like a true link in the chain. Make that link strong and then kind of connect as you go.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that Talisha and I agree. I think smart contracts and tokenization, they are, I'm not going to say different because that's not the real term that I mean, but they are two separate tracks in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Smart contracts is going to be about a $24 billion industry in the next few years. Tokenization is expected to have $27 trillion running through it on an annual basis. I think in the next 10 years, something like I remember $27 trillion going through tokenization. There's enough in either track for you if that's what you choose to do. If you choose to go through smart contracts, connect with Dr. Keisha and Simba Chain. That would be my suggestion if you are brand new to smart contracts, because they already have things recorded with regards to how to learn how to put the smart contracts together and putting together a portfolio. If you want to do tokenization, Eric Spence is the person to go to so that he can tell you who to start studying, et cetera, et cetera. Either you could make a ton of money in either. I wouldn't do both, but that's, again, just me. Unless you're a 10 and 10 for both. So Cindy is asking, go ahead, I'm sorry, Percy.
Follow-up question on that.
Yes.
So for people who are trying to assess, what would be, and are non-technical, is there different, is it easier for a non-technical person to kind of get their head wrapped around smart contracts or tokenization, or they're pretty much both the same?
I have an opinion about this as well. I think a non-tech person can get their head around either one. Okay. So within this circle, we've been able to get our head around smart contracts. And I'm always a fan of use cases. So that's how I approach anything. Like, what's the use case for smart contracts? And there's a ton of information on YouTube, on Professor Google, et cetera, that says these are the use cases for smart contracts. Yep. What are the use cases for tokenization? And then assessing, again, your experience and also what your interest is. You know, you'd have a passion for your church or a passion for sports or something like that, and say, I kind of want to break in to one of those things as well. And then that's kind of how I would do the assessing. But I do believe you can do either.
Technical proficiency is not required for any of these things. That's my first out the gate. These are business concepts. So you have to be business minded before anything else, because everything, the tech is so far removed from you at this point. It's the capability of it, but then you got to find out where it fits and how. So you spend the majority of your time trying to truly find the business readiness and fit for all of those. So that's where I would spend the time to really look at the business. Does the business model fit? Where do these concepts kind of fit? Do they need, like you said, you showed very specifically those 3 areas that need really a strong attention. Then you go into, well, the tech has those abilities. Where and when, but you got to show them and prove to them that we can address that issue well before you even highlight the tech. Because if I say, oh, I can save you a bunch of money, people are like, okay, well, what you got to sell me? They already know, because they've heard that pitch over and over. So that's really where you have to get them. You have to get them before you even show them the razzle-dazzle blockchain. You have to tell them that you have a viable solution. So all of these take what I consider a business acumen, and that's why we have the book, The Business of Blockchain, which I highly recommend every single person who really wants to consider. If you're a 10, you need that book. Because that's going to lay it out for you very clearly and succinctly of what language you need and where your focus should be, because this is how you're going to have to present these business solutions to these customers.
Yeah. And also not just reading the book, but also going through our past Business of Blockchain discussions as well. Because Celicia and Eric do a great job of breaking it down so that you're further able to explain to people. So, go ahead, Dr. Keisha.
I was just going to say, Shalisha, you really brought up the whole education piece. It really is the business acumen and the education, being able to break these things down around use cases, because I'll never be able to speak the tech on it. God bless me. I've tried, to go that route, and it's just so not me. It's just not me. But I'm so passionate about the capability of everything and willing to do the research for that information. And I'm absolutely willing to share it with other people, so it's just talking to people and trying to get them to understand it in a different way so that they can just resonate with them, again, along the point you were mentioning, Percy. But that only happens after you've kind of been able to, take the big concept, break it down, make it relatable based on stuff that exists and not exists, like, taking them further, as I know you're thinking, Talisha, this is a whole different way back. Because it absolutely, but you got to start somewhere. So when people are saying, it's like this, but imagine how this, they're like, what? Yeah, that's where we're at now. That's why it's so freaking
That's where the razzle-dazzle happens.
Exactly.
Razzle-dazzle.
It's an exciting thing for that click to come. I had the experience just with a new teacher just the other day, as a matter of fact. She works with people who speak other languages or whatever, the English language learners or whatever. And she was talking to me about identity. And I was like, oh, well, let me tell you about, blockchain, how that could, how multiple people need that information. She was like, oh my God, she like totally got it. And so, I'm looking at her like, man, maybe we can work on a project, because she do get it. she totally got the business side of it. So much so that she was like, what? That's the thing. So I was like, I'll be sending you information. So, yeah. So,
blockchain consultants. Be part of the inner circle.
She's not Black, but there you go.
Look, we don't care. Come on in. Awesome. All right, Cindy is asking, I'm an outlier, 15 years of proposal consultant for the federal contractors, mostly in IT, completed blockchain course from Oxford, but no coding experience. Where can I fit in? White papers, PR, tech writing? You could do any of those. You can do all of those. There's a huge thing around communication within blockchain. Being able to communicate to new people, being able to communicate to executives, marketing and communication, Marcom. There's also, since you did proposals, there are the government, not only the federal government, but these states are accepting RFPs for different blockchain solutions and blockchain projects that they want to do. You could be a blockchain proposal writer. In fact, I haven't heard that at all. You could probably corner the market with that, and do a few of those a year, especially if you understand the blockchain tech and you're able to include, your proposal writing skills. You probably would get scooped up pretty quickly, my dear.
It sounds to me like Cindy needs to be giving a session to everybody.
You know what? I agree, Cindy. I agree. You could decide if you want to continue on the federal side, if you want to help people with state proposals, if you want to do the tech writing, the white papers. Yeah. Jeff is asking, this is a great question. Is it okay to specialize in a blockchain tech like Quarter or Hyperledger instead of an industry? Absolutely. Absolutely. So Hyperledger, for example, has a partnership program. Now, when we tried to get in it, they weren't, I think that they get inundated with so many requests and things like that they weren't responding. So I'm just letting you know that piece of it now. However, IBM has a blockchain division, a very strong blockchain division. You may end up working there, or you may end up being a, we call it a third-party reseller. So we have Blockchain Consortium International has a deal with Dragon Chain, for example. I'm sure if you were to connect with Simba Chain, and you say, hey, I want to be a reseller for you, they probably would say yes. So yeah, definitely you could specialize in a specific solution. Yes. So perfect. And Cindy is saying, thanks for the tips. Great. Fantastic. You will be getting my bill. I expect you to make six figures for what we just suggested. You'll be getting my bill. All righty then. So any other questions? Anybody else? Right now we have another 10 minutes. Dr. Keisha, Percy, Talisha, do you have anything to add on?
I think my biggest thing is for folks to run out now and work on that LinkedIn profile. I'm telling you, it is a underused source, and it is so powerful, so absolutely powerful. We talk about I guess I shouldn't say low hanging fruit, but how you can actually reach people. People are able to be reached on these social networks in a very powerful way. And you really can reach people, and it's amazing. At this time, if this is the time to get in there before they get super big and they really get busy, they will remember you.
They will.
Right.
Really, really.
Absolutely.
That actually, it makes me think of, we have a vice president just left our company. He's one of the greatest guys I've worked with. And he asked me about a year ago, because I was kind of struggling with my career. Directionally, I would always take a bunch of projects and kind of a lot of broad experience, but no specialization, right? And so he asked me, well, what's your offer? And I'm like, what's my offer? What do you mean by what's my offer? He's like, well, if you were a company, or if you were your own company, if you had your own service or product, and you were going and pitching your company to customers, what do you specialize in? What would you say about yourself? And I couldn't really tell him. Oh, well, I can do this, I have experience in this, and so on. And he said, listen, he's like, there's not a week that goes by that I don't have somebody contacting me about taking another job. He's like, literally, I have companies or people coming and saying, here's a COO position for you. Here's this high level. Every single week, I never reach out to anyone, is because I've been very specific about what I'm doing and what I can offer. And I know that is in an area of need. He's like, I've assessed the market. I understand what companies need out there. And I've pretty much tailored my social media presence to that. And he's like, my boss could come and tap me on the shoulder right now, and I wouldn't lose a wink of sleep because I know what I'm offering is in demand. I know it's in tune and in touch with what people need. And you know, funny enough, he just left last week for a position at AWS, a high top executive position at AWS. Just he never had to look for anything. And so I think it speaks to the point that you're talking about, Dr. Keisha. I think if you know how to manage that profile, and then, you know, over time, you're very specific on what, you know, what I'm offering and how that's going to meet your needs. I think we all could kind of put ourselves in the position where, and you build the network like Shuri is talking about, we pretty much can put ourselves in that type of position where people are beating down our doors. And, you know, but I think it takes the groundwork that doing the things that you've talked about, Shuri, to get there. So
let me add to that too, because you know a lot of people are going through that right now, and this is a good time. I feel like I need to say, don't beat yourself up over this, you know, but do that self-assessment, because this is a great time to do it, because there's just the opportunity is so great because of the accelerant of tech that's about to happen here. We already know. We've been doing the research. It's going down. You know, we already know life is never going to be the way it was pre-COVID and all of this. So it's just really a good time to find that spot and then really hone in on it. I know I'm going through that process myself. So I'm really looking to do these things.
So there's a question in the chat on Facebook asking what a reseller is. So I want to just let you know, a reseller is somebody who is not on a company's payroll. However, they are authorized, and they are authorized to be able to sell that company's software just like anyone from within the company is. So a reseller basically is an independent contractor, and they have the authority to be able to say, for example, let's say Dragon Chain. Mr. Client, you and I have spoken, you need blockchain, you need a blockchain solution. My suggestion to you is Dragon Chain, and here are the reasons why. And then that client says, yes, absolutely, I agree with your assessment, and I want to use Dragon Chain. And then Dragon Chain pays you a percentage of the sale that's made. So, and then you can be as involved with the implementation as your contract with Dragon Chain and your contract with the company allows. So some people will want to work A to Z with the installation and helping them get set up and all of that. And for some of us, those could be high dollar contracts, right? And then some of us will just want to go in and say, hey, you need Dragon Chain. And then, you know, once the deal is signed, they are sent to Dragon Chain, and Dragon Chain takes care of everything, you know, from then on. And that's okay too. It depends again on your business and what exactly it is you're choosing to major in, as we were saying before. So that is what a reseller is. The other thing is a lot of resellers don't just represent one product. So they may have a deal with Dragon Chain, Hyperledger, you know, Simba Chain. They may have 6, 7, 8 different reseller agreements. And then based on the client that they're talking to, they may put them in a specific blockchain protocol because of something specific that the client needs or says. So it does take time to set those up. I'm not gonna lie, it takes time to set those up. However, you could do quite well if that is what your major is and that's what you choose to do. So write one thing that you learned in the chat. We got 3 more minutes left. Write one thing that you have learned in the chat. And while people are doing that, Talisha and Percy and Dr. Keisha, do you have final words while people are telling us what they
I would agree with Cindy. LinkedIn has always been, I cannot all say enough about it. It's always kind of like the underdog. Most people didn't use it. And yes, it didn't have all the bells and the whistles. It kind of has them, but it comes really slowly. But when you really use it and leverage it for what it's good for, I get at least 20 to 30 emails per day. Like Percy said, I get offered jobs every single day.
See, we all try to be like that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're like, hey, and I'm like, nope. And again, I have a weird kind of setup. My background has some interesting things. So the minute that the software changes, the minute that we have some healthcare initiatives, I get hit up like unamazing. Like it's just like I get bombarded with them.
Wow.
And I'm headhunters are like constantly looking at it. And they just constantly, hey, can I talk to you? Can I connect with you? Do whatever. And I do. Most of the time, headhunters, I keep kind of in there. They're your secret repping because they do the grunt work for you.
Mm-hmm.
I can ask them certain things like, hey, I'm looking for these kind of projects. Put me on. And they just, at none. It's just like in a second, they're like, okay, I'll ping you over a few. And then they send you like a list of them. So that's really what you do. And just let it work for you. I think it is that kind of crucial setting it up. And I've changed mine. I think it's a living document. I think people want to just set it and forget it. There's always new and improved things, but you have to have those elements there that really speak to, again, what you can do for them. That's really, it's not about a vainglorious, I call it an over-exaggerated resume. That's not going to help you because they don't really care about that. They want to know the skill assessment of how that's going to really impact their company. So I tell them exactly in my profile, how do I help you? What I've done before and what I'm doing now, and this is where I'm going to take you. And that kind of assessment pushes them forward. And I said, I get obscure things and some things are very, very relevant, but I would always say, look into LinkedIn, try it. And just like I said, play with it. It's not going to just look pretty in one fell swoop. Just kind of keep working and you'll get to it. And then months later, you'll change it. And it's good for you to change it because it changes the algorithm
Right.
as well and puts you in a new list. So I always say, change your picture, change something about your description, anything that updates it. It's just like on Twitter, it actually re-indexes you and now it puts you in different spots because basically what happens is it indexes you on the back end to say these are the buckets that you fit in. The minute that you update that, now you go to the top of the list and they have to re-index you again.
Oh, wow.
So that's just, quick little thing. Twitter does it every month. So you'll see my picture change every month. So those kind of things. Yeah, I just change little bits of information and that really does, it's amazing how that does because people will see you in a new light or a new way that they had because you were, number 500,000 at the bottom. But every time you do that, and also like I said, you have to be active. I go and post, I comment, I do different things. I'm very much engageful. It's a part. I always say just take 10 to 15 minutes, schedule it in, put it on your calendar and say, I'm going to be on LinkedIn for 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. That's all you need. And then
just respond to one person. Richard is saying, go with your strengths. Jeff is saying, decide you are all in, a 10. Raymond, hey Raymond, the value of executing your goals. Jeff is saying, I received valuable information on LinkedIn, leverage and specializations. Cindy is saying that she just wants to go work for Talisha. Let's all work for Talisha is what she's really saying. Paul is saying, I've learned that it is time to explore blockchain. Perfect.
Yeah.
Richard is saying that's why you're the tech whisperer, Talisha. So, Dr. Keisha, final comments for the evening.
Oh, I just want to encourage everybody to absolutely take these steps. They are so actionable. There's nothing on that list that we cannot do. And at least, like Talisha said, just 10 minutes. I know we all feel like if there was a 26-hour, we would work that too. But, just 10 minutes like you just talked about reaching out. Let's just take 10 for ourselves, for our business, for our business. I love that. Yeah.
Percy?
Yeah, I think I'm all motivated to do something about my LinkedIn. And that's what I got mainly out of this today. And I think this is my weakest area, but by the end of the year, I'm going to turn that into a strength.
Perfect. So I'm going to say two things based on what Percy and Dr. Keisha said. So Percy said by the end of the year, and that's a very key point because I started thinking we're ending we're entering the last quarter of the year.
Right.
And there's a woman I used to follow named Rochelle Shaw who used to say, finish strong, start stronger for like the new year, right? So she would take from December 1st to January 31st, and she would have 60 days of super focused time to get something done, so that, you know, most people aren't even thinking about the new year until January 10th. That's not what we want to be. We as blockchain consultants want to really start thinking about the new year now. Right. Because people are going to start putting their budgets together now for the new year, and you want to be in their purview. Now's the time to do it. The second thing I will say is Dr. Keisha mentioned about 26 hours in a day. Some of you and some of us and some of me is going to have to let some things go. Are there things in your life that you are doing that's not getting you anywhere? Are there people in your life that you're talking to 3 hours a day that are just talking and you're not getting anywhere because you're spending time with these individuals? Sometimes you have to look and say, why do I need 26 hours in a day? And are there things that maybe I need to let go of in order to get my $100,000, $200,000 within blockchain? So that's just a very honest and real thing too for you to think about this evening. You know, if you are a 10 within blockchain, that may be your issue, is you got too many things on the plate and you may have to let some things go. And you're saying from the consummate overdoer here, to all of you.
10 takes a lot of effort.
A 10 takes a lot of effort, and the truth is you could only be 10 with one thing. Yep. Even if you say I'm going to lose, 50 pounds and things like people who lose a lot of weight, they typically, that's the only thing they're focused on, is losing that 50 pounds. If you're a 10 with blockchain and getting your 6-figure, that is your focus, and everything else, your laundry may pile up and all of that stuff. It just is. It's the truth, and you have to decide, go back to number one and decide if you're going to be a 10. Yep. And there's nothing wrong with saying, well, you know what, I said in the beginning I was going to be a 10, but now I'm not so certain because I really can't let things go. Then, that's okay too. Just stick around with us, because
we're always here. I know I'm here. Yeah. That's one of the things I do show up. I'm a 10 in that aspect.
Yes. So, and that's one of the reasons why, we're going to be doing some things within blockchain, but I have some other responsibilities, and I'm a 10 for that. So, but we will be here. Don't worry. We will be here within BBC and Blockchain Chat and doing some things within blockchain as well. So, all righty then, everybody. Well, I hope tonight was super helpful for everybody. If there is another topic like this that you all want to go over, let me know that as well. Send me an email or talk to me in Flock, and we'll make sure to put those topics on the schedule. Okay?
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks again, Percy.
Yes.
Thanks, Percy.
What else you got now?